Hey guys, update 110 went on test servers today, which means we got our first look at the patch notes. I just want to quickly talk about the Beetle and some of the tests I've done so far, and then we can read through the patch notes together and I can say anything that stands out to me. So up front in the patch notes is the Stalker Beetle, which is a new throwable item you can use as a floating darksight camera for reconnaissance. It unlocks at rank 15 and costs 45 hunt dollars. The Beetle has a control range of 150 meters. That's how far you can fly it before it kicks you out. You'll get a little countdown when that's about to happen. You can use the fire button to create a small explosion that does 5 damage, causes poison damage, and shoots some fragments that cause light bleeding. You can also hold interact to exit the Beetle, dropping it safely to the ground, and then anyone can pick up that Beetle, assuming it isn't destroyed. This is also a handy way to trade consumable items between your team. You can just drop the Beetle and then exchange it for a vitality shot or whatever you want to trade. The Beetle interacts with the world as a hunter would. It can set off crows, trigger AI enemies, set off traps, trigger boss whispers, which means the Beetle can see the red highlight when entering a boss compound, and also it can cause that red highlight. The explosion that the Beetle does can trigger traps and barrels and damage hunters, all that good stuff. Currently, only 3 traits work with the Beetle right now, and those are Blade Seer, Poison Sense, and Vigilant. So they will highlight their respective thing. Blade Seer can see blades, Poison Sense can see poison hunters, and Vigilant can see traps. Necro and Serpent do not work. It is worth noting, using the Beetle does not use any of your dark sight seconds, so you can't see hunters through walls while using the Beetle, but it also won't consume those seconds if you need to use the Beetle while holding a bounty. You can find the beetles in these cocoons around the map in large trees. I'm not sure what the tree diameter is for large tree, but they are around the map and they are hard to miss. They have this papery coating. Each tree with a cocoon has 2, but like loot boxes, you can only take 1. I will do more exhaustive tests for the Beetle, as will other channels, I'm sure, but let's talk about the most interesting interactions I've seen so far. Everyone wants to know, so no, you cannot add a sticky bomb to the Beetle. It will be destroyed. That is very sad. Yes, you can add a chaos bomb though, so you can kind of simulate a moving gunfight. You can also shoot beetles to destroy them, but this isn't perfect right now. I've had several instances where I can see that I hit the beetle, I get the impact plume, but the beetle still didn't break, so I'm not sure what's up with that. If your hunter takes damage while you are piloting the beetle, you are kicked out of the beetle immediately. If you are bleeding, you won't even go to the camera. You just throw it to the ground. Choke bombs also kick you out of the camera, so if you fly a beetle into a choke cloud, the beetle falls safely to the ground, but it isn't destroyed. However, with poison clouds, those will destroy them. So if you fly a beetle into a poison cloud, it will be destroyed. If you fly it into a choke cloud, it will knock the pilot out of the camera, which means that the hand crossbow with poison and choke bolts can be a very strong pick right now. I'm going to stop there for the interactions for now. I think those are the big headlines. No, you can't use a sticky bomb on the beetle, but you can knock pilots out of the camera using choke bombs. Okay, and now let's go through these patch notes that are now live on the test server. You can try all this out right now if you're on PC. Just download the test server and you will see. So I'm just going to do this in kind of a side view. We've already talked about the Stalker Beetle, and I think I've talked about most of the interactions there. I'm sure there's a few that you're probably curious about. Leave those in the comments and I will try to cover them further. So the first general update is with the AI. Hive swarms can now be killed by fusees and flare pistols. I tried this out. It does in fact work. It lights the hive swarm on fire, but if you run into that swarm, it does not ignite you. So that is a safe and mostly quiet way to take care of hive swarms. I think it's pretty interesting that they are once again making changes to these swarms. I feel like that will come back in the future. So Crytek has added an improved underground system. I'm not exactly sure how this works, but what I think it's saying is now when you hear audio from an underground system, it will take into account your distance to the entrance of that system, and that will change the distortion you hear. So if you're at the entry, you will hear it better. I'm pretty sure. Also, the new system will reflect how deep a sound is inside now, with the sound being more muffled the deeper it is. They also changed the range that sound is audible from within an underground system and above an underground system. That is a small tweak. I'm sure it will help readability. Audio mixing changes. The dynamite stick explosions are now quieter at a distance. That's very cool. We talked about this previously. Caldwell Pax Claw now does the same damage as the knife, but that means you can have an extra tool for that knife tool slot. The Caldwell Conversion Uppercut explosive ammo can now headshot enemy hunters at short and medium ranges, approximately 35 meters. So if you're using explosive ammo, you can now headshot hunters. Great. The compact ammo rifles have a new headshot effective range. So on the Winfield 1873 and the C, the new headshot range is 150 meters and 193 meters with FMJ. That is a great buff to the Winfield, which is already excellent for headshots. The Nagant Officer Carbine also saw an increase to 125 meters. Weapons that can use 2 ammo slots now have half the price for each slot. This is to account for the fact that you are technically buying one half of the ammo per slot in any weapon that can use 2 ammo types. This does not affect the Alamo because you can only take 1. Here are the trait changes we mentioned in a previous video. Conduit, in addition to its current effect, Conduit now grants 5 meters of stamina when picking up a clue or bounty token, and I believe those stack. Ghoul, the range and type of monster, is no longer limited. Any kill to any monster, including boss targets, at any range will result in a small health gain, and that can be really useful for gaining missing bars. Poison Sense, the default range has been increased to 150 meters. Okay, now let's talk about the meta. You can go through this list if you want. The standout features to me are that the Bornheim is now cheaper, which is exactly what that pistol needed. The Caldwell shotgun, the Slate, and the Romero are now more expensive. I think Crytek is trying to put a premium on one-hit weapons, and those 3 shotguns were very popular, so they are now more expensive. Ammo has been changed to reflect the 2-slot changes, so if you have to buy both slots on the ammo, it is now half the cost for each slot. The interesting ammo change to me is that slugs are now cheaper, and so is Spitzer, which is interesting because they increased the price of the shotguns and the Lebel Marksman and the Spark Sniper. Those are now much more expensive, but then they decreased these kind of cheesy ammo types that a lot of people complain about. Not quite splitting the difference, but it is an interesting change. For tools and consumables, firebombs are now more expensive, as are vitality shots. That's a pretty big nerf to those early consumable items. I still rock the weak vitality and the firebomb all the time, so I understand why they would increase the price there. They're still really good picks, but it does kind of suck. Trait changes, there's a lot of interesting ones, but the ones that stand out to me is now Doctor is 9 trait points, up from 8. Gator Legs is now 3, up from 2. Iron Sharpshooter is now 2, down from 3. And Silent Killer is now 4, down from 5. Lightfoot is also 6, and it was 5 previously. I see that one quite a lot. And then they went through and changed the order that things are unlocked for traits, weapons, consumables. All of those seem pretty okay to me. I know chokes are now at level 1. You see those earlier, which is great. There's a lot more useful stuff early on, so when you are prestiging, it's not as much of a pain. They added hunt dollar rewards for progressing through the levels, which can help with a prestige. And then it talks about the cocoons, which we've already mentioned. And now there are certain consumable spawns in the hunt towers. After you go in a hunt tower, you will usually find a consumable in there, which I think is cool. They made some map changes. These are probably too extensive to read through, and I think we'll take some time to figure out what those actually look like. They fixed this AI bug where AI would take the wrong pose when being spawned in. I saw this all the time. You would walk into a compound, and then like a zombie would T-pose and then lay down. I'm hoping that is fixed because it always looks silly. But that's about it for the patch notes. The ones that I found interesting anyway. Let me know if you think anything's interesting, and you should definitely download the test server because a lot of people are having fun with the Stalker Beetle. So if you have PC, you can download it for free on Steam. Just search the test server in your available games. All right, until the next video, thanks for watching. Goodbye.